Welcome to the CareClinic pod. I'm Emma, and this is Jones.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. Have you ever noticed how sometimes your anxiety feels completely out of control?
It's like it comes out of nowhere, right?
Exactly. And it turns out there's a surprising culprit behind those anxious feelings that most people don't even think about: hormones.
It's a connection a lot of people miss.
It's true. We often focus on external stressors like work deadlines or relationship problems.
Yeah,
But the reality is our internal world plays a huge role in how we feel.
it really does. Those tiny chemical messengers, our hormones, can dramatically impact our mood and even our anxiety levels.
We've all heard of cortisol, the so-called stress hormone. But get this, it's not the only one involved.
Yep.
There's a whole cast of characters in the hormonal world that can either fuel those anxious flames or help us find a sense of calm.
It's fascinating, isn't it? These hormones are constantly fluctuating, responding to everything from our sleep cycles to what we eat and even our age.
So it's like a delicate dance. And when things get out of sync, our mental well-being can definitely take a hit.
Exactly. It's all about balance. So today we're going to unpack how these hormonal fluctuations contribute to anxiety. And more importantly, we'll discuss what you can do to regain control.
I'm excited to dive in. But before we get into the specifics, let's start with the basics. What exactly are hormones and how do they work?
Well, think of hormones as tiny little messengers that travel throughout your bloodstream, delivering instructions to different parts of your body.
Okay.
They control everything from growth and development to metabolism, and of course, our mood and emotions too.
So they're like the body's internal communication system.
Precisely. And when these messages get scrambled, or the messengers themselves get out of whack, well, it can lead to all sorts of issues, including those unwanted anxious feelings.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about that hormone that always seems to get a bad rap when it comes to stress and anxiety: cortisol.
Oh, cortisol. It often gets villainized, but the truth is, cortisol is actually essential for our survival.
Oh, really? I thought it was all bad.
Nope, it's actually our body's built-in alarm system. It prepares us for fight or flight when we face a threat.
So it's like our internal superhero ready to jump into action when we need it.
Exactly. But here's the catch. In today's fast-paced world, we're constantly bombarded with stressors. It could be anything, like work deadlines, traffic jams, or even that never-ending to-do list.
I hear that.
So basically, our fight or flight switch is stuck in the on position.
Yikes.
And when those cortisol levels stay elevated for too long, it can really wreak havoc on both our mental and physical health, leading to fatigue, difficulty concentrating, sleep problems, and yes, you guessed it, increased anxiety.
Okay, so chronic stress equals high cortisol, which equals a recipe for anxiety. But here's something I found really surprising in my research for this episode. It's not just cortisol that plays a role. Sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone can impact our anxiety levels too.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating how much these hormones naturally fluctuate throughout our lives. For women, estrogen levels ebb and flow throughout their menstrual cycle, and those dips in estrogen, especially in the week or two before their period, can trigger heightened anxiety and mood swings.
Oh, that totally explains a lot. What about men, though? How do fluctuating hormones affect their anxiety?
Well, for men, testosterone levels tend to decline gradually with age, and while testosterone is often associated with things like muscle mass and libido, it also plays a crucial role in mood regulation. So as testosterone levels dip, men might find themselves experiencing increased anxiety, fatigue, and even difficulty concentrating.
So it's not just a female issue. The hormonal fluctuations can impact everyone, just in different ways.
Precisely. It's important to remember that everyone's hormonal balance is unique. What might cause significant anxiety in one person might have a minimal effect on someone else.
That's why it's so important to pay attention to your own body and how you're feeling. And hey, speaking of paying attention, the CareClinic app can be a game changer for tracking those hormonal changes and their impact on your mood.
I agree.
It's like having a personal journal for your emotional well-being.
It is. It can be incredibly valuable when talking to your doctor about managing your anxiety.
So that's a good first step. Now let's get into some specific strategies.
Welcome back, everyone.
So we've been talking about those wild hormonal fluctuations and how they can really mess with our anxiety levels.
Right. And now let's shift gears a bit and talk about what we can actually do to regain some control.
Because let's be real, just knowing that hormones are involved doesn't magically make the anxiety disappear, does it?
Unfortunately not. Knowledge is power, but we need to pair that knowledge with action. The good news is that there are tons of effective strategies for supporting hormonal balance and reducing anxiety.
Okay, I like the sound of that. Spill the beans. What are these strategies?
Well, I wouldn't say they're magic, but they can definitely feel that way when you start seeing the positive
All
effects.
right, I'm all ears.
One of the most powerful things you can do is focus on some lifestyle modification.
Lifestyle modifications. Okay, so we've talked about like eating more kale and doing headstands all day.
Haha, not quite. But we are talking about some pretty simple and sustainable changes you can make to your daily routine.
Okay, I can get behind that. So, what kind of changes are we talking about?
Well, we've touched on a few of these already: exercise, relaxation techniques, diet, and sleep.
Those seem pretty basic, though. Are those really enough to actually make a difference?
Absolutely. These aren't just trendy buzzwords, they're the foundation of hormonal health.
Okay, you've convinced me. Let's break them down one by one, starting with exercise.
Sounds good.
I have to admit, when I hear the word exercise,
Hmm.
my brain immediately goes to those super intense workouts, sweaty gyms, and just feeling totally out of my element. Is all that really necessary to balance my hormones?
No, not at all. The key here is to find activities you actually enjoy and can realistically stick with.
Makes sense. I'm way more likely to actually exercise if it's something I don't dread. So what are we talking about here?
Well, you don't need to train for a marathon to reap the benefits of exercise. Even moderate exercise can make a huge difference. Think about things like brisk walking, dancing, gardening, swimming, anything that gets you moving.
So it's not about pushing myself to the limit. It's about finding ways to move my body that I genuinely enjoy.
That's the spirit. And you know what's even better? Exercise has kind of like a double whammy effect on anxiety.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, for one, it helps reduce those pesky cortisol levels we were talking about earlier. And then on the other hand, it triggers the release of endorphins, which are basically your body's natural mood boosters.
Okay, so exercise helps lower stress hormones.
Yeah.
Andy, it boosts feel-good chemicals. I can definitely get on board with that. But let's be honest, some days even the thought of a walk around the block feels totally overwhelming.
I hear that. And that's where those relaxation techniques come in.
Okay, relaxation. What exactly do we mean by that?
Well, in our super fast paced world, it's so easy to just get swept up in the hustle and bustle. We're always going, always doing.
And tell me about it. Sometimes it feels like there's just not enough time in the day to get everything done.
Exactly. And that constant state of go, go, go basically just leads to chronic stress, which we know messes with our hormones and just makes that anxiety even worse.
So relaxation is basically hitting the pause button and giving our bodies and minds a break.
Precisely. We need to be carving out time for those activities that help calm down our nervous system and bring those stress hormones back down to a manageable level.
Okay, I am completely sold. So what are some effective ways to do that?
There are so many options: meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, spending time in nature, listening to calming music. Really just find what works for you.
So it's about finding those little pockets of peace throughout the day, whether it's 5 minutes of deep breathing or a full hour of yoga.
Exactly. Don't underestimate the power of those little moments. Over time, they can have a huge impact on your well being.
You got me convinced.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered exercise, relaxation techniques. Now, what about diet? We all know that what we eat impacts our physical health, but can it really affect our hormones and anxiety?
Absolutely. What you eat has a profound impact on your whole hormonal system.
Okay, I'm all ears. What should I be eating to keep my hormones happy and keep my anxiety at bay?
The key here is to focus on those whole, unprocessed foods.
So ditch the processed junk and go for those real nutrient-rich foods.
Exactly. Think fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats.
Okay, so why are those so important?
Well, they're providing your body with those essential vitamins, minerals, and fiber that are just crucial for hormone production and regulation.
So we're basically giving our bodies the building blocks they need to function optimally, including producing and balancing those really important hormones.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. And, on the flip side, things like processed foods, sugary drinks, and unhealthy fats can actually disrupt that hormonal balance and contribute to inflammation, which just ends up making anxiety worse.
So it's not just about what we're eating, it's also about what we're choosing to avoid.
Exactly. Think of it this way. You wouldn't put low-quality fuel into your car and expect it to run smoothly, right?
Right.
The same goes for our bodies. We need to fuel them with high-quality nutrients to keep everything running smoothly, including our hormonal systems.
That's a great analogy. Okay, so we've talked about exercise, relaxation, and diet. What's next on our list of hormonal heroes?
Last, but certainly not least, let's talk about sleep.
Ooh, sleep. Something I think a lot of us are guilty of sacrificing in our crazy busy lives.
It's so common, but chronic sleep deprivation can really wreak havoc on your hormonal balance.
Okay, I know sleep is important, but I didn't realize it had such a direct impact on our hormones. How does that work?
Well, when we sleep, our bodies have a chance to repair and regenerate, and our hormones get a chance to reset. It's like hitting the refresh button for your entire system.
That makes sense. So when we don't get enough sleep, our hormones don't get that much needed reset.
Exactly. And that can lead to a cascade of hormonal imbalances, including increased cortisol levels, insulin resistance, and even weight gain.
Not to mention just feeling totally exhausted and irritable. And yes, even more anxious.
Precisely. So try to aim for 7-8 hours of quality sleep each night.
Easier said than done, right? Got any tips for actually achieving that?
Absolutely. First of all, establishing a regular sleep schedule is key.
Yeah.
Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time each day, even on weekends.
So consistency is important.
Yes. It really helps to regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle. Also, creating a relaxing bedtime routine can really help. Take a warm bath, read a book, dim the lights, anything that helps you wind down.
And then make sure your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool.
Exactly. You want to create an environment that is really conducive to sleep.
Okay, so we've got exercise, relaxation, diet, and sleep. All those things our moms have been nagging us about for years.
It turns out Mom was right.
But what if we're doing all these things and we're still struggling with anxiety? What happens then?
That's a great question. And it's important to remember that while lifestyle changes can be really powerful, sometimes they're not enough. If you're struggling with persistent anxiety, it's crucial to seek out some professional help.
Like talking to our doctor.
Exactly. They can run some tests, assess your symptoms, and just help you determine the best course of action, which might include therapy, medication, or a combination of both.
So sometimes we just need a little extra support.
Absolutely. And remember, there is absolutely no shame in seeking help. It's actually a sign of strength and self-care. It's about taking control of your well-being.
And speaking of taking control, the CareClinic app can be a fantastic tool for managing your mental and hormonal health. It lets you track your symptoms, mood, medications, and even your menstrual cycle if you're a woman.
Having all that data in one place can help you identify patterns, notice triggers, and just have more informed conversations with your doctor.
It's like having a personal health advocate right in your pocket.
Exactly. So as we move into the final part of this episode on hormones and anxiety,
We'll be diving into some more specific strategies for different types of hormonal imbalances.
and we'll talk about how to advocate for yourself and get the support you need.
Welcome back, everyone.
We've been on quite a journey, haven't we?
We have exploring that intricate world of hormones and how they impact our anxiety.
And how even the smallest shifts in those chemical messages can sometimes send our emotions on a roller coaster ride.
It really is like a delicate balancing act.
It is.
And in the last part, we talked about those foundational lifestyle changes,
Right.
the ones that can make a huge difference in managing those hormonal ups and downs.
Things like exercise, relaxation techniques, diet, and sleep.
All those things we know we should be doing. But sometimes it's hard to prioritize them, isn't it?
It happens to the best of us.
But here's the thing. Even when we are making those lifestyle changes, sometimes we need a little extra help.
Especially when those hormonal imbalances are a bit more severe or persistent.
Exactly. So let's talk about what we can do when those initial steps aren't quite enough.
Okay.
Let's say I'm doing all the right things. I'm exercising, eating well, managing stress, but I'm still struggling with anxiety. What's the next step?
Well, first of all, don't give up. It's so easy to feel discouraged when you're putting in all that effort and not seeing the results you're hoping for.
It can feel like you're doing everything right, but you're still hitting a wall.
Exactly. But everyone's body is different. Sometimes those lifestyle changes need a little boost from other approaches.
Okay, I like that. So what are some of those other approaches?
Well, one option is to talk to your doctor about some hormone testing.
Okay, so getting those hormone levels checked, that can help us pinpoint what's out of whack.
Exactly. It can give you and your doctor a clearer picture of what's happening hormonally, which can then help guide treatment decisions.
Okay, and what kinds of treatments are available for hormonal imbalances?
It really depends on the specific imbalance. But some common options include things like hormone replacement therapy, or certain medications to help regulate hormone production. And even sometimes some nutritional supplements can be helpful.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's really about finding what works best for each individual person's needs.
Precisely. And it's important to work closely with your doctor to find that right treatment plan for you.
because those hormones are powerful little things, and we want to make sure we're addressing any imbalances safely and effectively.
Absolutely. And beyond any medical interventions, therapy can be incredibly helpful for managing anxiety that's related to those hormonal imbalances.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, therapy can provide a safe and supportive space to explore that emotional and psychological impact of those hormonal shifts.
So it's not just about treating the physical symptoms. It's about addressing the mental and emotional toll those imbalances can take as well.
Right. Therapy can equip you with coping mechanisms. It can help you manage stress. It can help you build resilience in the face of those hormonal challenges.
So it's really about empowering ourselves to navigate those ups and downs and feel more in control of our emotional well-being.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to go through this alone. Reach out to your loved ones, build that support system, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Sometimes just talking to someone who understands can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And the CareClinic app can also be a fantastic resource for connecting with others who are going through similar experiences. You can join support groups, you can share your story, and just find a sense of community.
It's like having a virtual support system right there at your fingertips.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive into hormones and anxiety, I just want to leave you with this. Knowledge is power. The more we understand about how hormones impact our mood and well-being, the better equipped we'll be to manage those fluctuations and find some relief from anxiety.
It's about taking charge of our health and advocating for ourselves.
And remember, there's no shame in seeking help. It's actually a sign of strength and self-care. It's about prioritizing your well-being and really living that fulfilling life you deserve.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for being here.
And until next time, take care of yourselves and those amazing hormone messengers inside you.